The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football?
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
Hello, this is Milton Baker inviting you to listen to NASCAR Racing right here on WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM, and KTCBroadcasting.com.
Man, I only do things incredible can, cause I am the seed of a chosen breed. You don't see too many like me, cause I am one of the reasons you do what you do when you wanna be me instead of you, cause I am still on beat, showing love to the streets. Come on, you know me, cause that's who I am.
Check, 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 check. Hey, they got us now, Jason. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Shock Joxx Podcast. Jason, you got me in your earphone over there? Okay, just want your mic is there in front of you. If you want to pull that there joker there to you.
Yeah, I do.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Jason Sain's here. His first appearance here on the podcast. Tom said something about our intro. We kind of messed it up a little bit, trying to get it going. Hunter's not here quite yet, so I'm scrambling for make sure everything's working by myself. Jason is here, though, to help out today with Tom playing hooky. It's his birthday, Jason. He said he's just not doing anything on his birthday, so that's what we're going with on Tom.
No Tom today.
No Tom today. But Jason's here, and I'm welcoming him here. His brother has been in here before, his Andy Sain. So if you folks that have watched before and seen him, you know who I'm talking about now. So Andy is more of my basketball expert, and Jason's more of my go-to on the baseball end of things. So they both pretty good on the football, and we're going to talk some NASCAR today. North Wilkesboro this weekend. Jason, they had did you see the iRacing? You been watching any of the iRacing?
No, haven't been keeping up with that.
So the guys have been.
I did hear the story about the one fellow that quit mid-race and lost some sponsors. That was old news at this point, but
Yeah.
I did indeed catch that.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace quit during a race and lost some sponsors. Another guy, Benedetto's, wrecked a couple people on purpose and was black flagged in 2 races.
I mean, it's a video game. There's always going to be trolling in video games, and really you can't.
Right, and that's
change back. That's what it is.
It's funny that you're here because you kind of know a little bit about my story on some of this as far up at App. And one of my school ideas back in 2000, I would say 3-ish, maybe 4-ish, is when I had the idea about watching. We had a school project, and it was you had to come up with a TV channel and what was the basis of the channel and how it worked. At that point, I remember, it was kind of, is it MTV, is it ESPN? You kind of had to come up with some type of a channel and programming, and basically just that's the project is create a channel. And my channel, of course, and Jason knows, I created a Madden channel, and for people or video game basically channel. I was leaning towards more Madden so I could be more specific on what I wanted to talk about. But of course, I was talking about Call of Duty and all these other things back in the day. That stuff just started when we were in college. Remember the people doing LAN parties, and the Counter-Strike was the big one back in the day. Did you play any of the Counter-Strike, or you was on the Xbox?
Halo was my game.
Halo was your game. So in going with all that, that was basically the project. I wanted to start a channel where you watch other people play video games. Because I noticed, up in Boone, if during the winter, especially once it snowed, there's not that much you can do other than maybe drink some beer and play video games with each other.
There's a new first-person shooter out now. You mentioned it.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare. I'm sure you might have seen some of it.
Pull a little bit closer to you.
Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
The newest Call of Duty.
Yep. I haven't seen the commercials for you.
That's why I got headset.
You've been playing too much.
Rebuttal, rebuke. I don't know what you'd call it. My ears hurt from wearing my headset.
Reverb.
Yeah. I'm
Maybe some of that.
rebuffing. That's what it is. Headset rebuff. Body's had enough.
I do like some of those games. I like the missions on those games.
Unfortunately, this is one of them big battle royales.
Right.
It's free.
I'm less inclined into those. It's to me, I get mad enough when the video game, like when I'm playing the computer and I get screwed. Now, if you add a computer and then a human's on the other end of that, that'll just make me even madder. There's
some crazy things people come up with to do in them games. To take advantage of the mechanics and all this and to cheat.
And you're just sitting there trying to do your thing, and people are cheating and other things like that.
I'll tell you what, the worst thing in Modern Warfare is get run over by a vehicle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People just get vehicles just right all over the map and run you over. It's hilarious, but at the same time, frustrating.
Right.
Get away from the point, though. You had this $1 million idea
the idea was of course, the idea was to stream video games, and in NASCAR, Junior started getting into this, and he talks all the time about. He used to tell his daddy all the time, "This is going to be the future of the racing." And once this, and so basically, the short end of that story was the teacher gave me a C for the idea, an A for the execution, but got a C on the idea. He wasn't into, I guess, the video games as much as we might have been thinking about then. But Twitch ends up selling for $3 billion like 2 years ago. So I barely have one comment in my bank account, Jason, much less 3. I'd like to have 2, but no doubt. I'd love to have had 3. But getting into the NASCAR racing stuff, it's really, those guys I think have done an outstanding job. Ran 7 races. And what they're doing, Jace, is just, they're just out there. They're racing these tracks, and what they started out doing was racing the weeks that they were supposed to be racing. So if they're in California or wherever, Talladega, that's the race they're racing. Well, this weekend with NASCAR announcing they're coming back next week, they decided to do an older track, and you going up to Appalachia, you'll remember at some point driving by old North Wilkesboro Speedway at some point up that way. So Dale Jr. and a gang this couple months ago got in touch with the iRacing folks, and they said if you guys can clean up the track, because their scans, and listen to the scanning guys, there's every blade of grass, it's a blade of grass you could drive through it with a car, but on the computer models that's a hard object, so you'd just be running into basically a spike in the pavement is how the computer would read that. So Junior tweeted out, any folks want to come help out or whatever, we're going to clean up the speedway. So they went out there and weed-eated all the cracks, shoveled all the cracks in the, got everything off and as smooth as they could get it, and had the sweepers out there going over it as well, and cleaned it up, and then they scanned it in. And so Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, we had racing at North Wilkesboro return since first time since 1996.
Something else,
virtually, obviously. The Hendricks drivers did not race this weekend. They were getting prepared for real racing, and but Jeff Gordon did. He won the last race there, so he come back and he drove. So the 24 team and Hendricks did have a representative, but it was Jeff Gordon.
He got any game
in the Rainbow? I'll say this: Jeff doesn't do the and you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. The simulators ain't exactly the same as the race car, obviously. So Jeff hasn't never really been in it. So last week, Jace, I'll try to pull it up. he came. He decided he was going to do Talladega. He wanted to do that, and I thought that was a bad decision because on the games, everybody's got different connection speeds. It's different in real life, keeping from bumping into a car to your right at 190 miles per hour as it is in virtual world. But Gordon decided he was going to do that, and he got into a wreck, Jason. And I've never seen it before in real life, much less the racing. His car ended up stuck in the catch fence.
Stuck in the catch.
Like his car got
glitched, huh?
caught. No, there was no glitch. It was he wrecked, got flipped upside down, and ended up in the catch fence. Here, I'm gonna pull it up for you to watch here, folks. Before we get to that, I want to welcome Hunter Yancey to the show. Hey, Hunter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well,
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, we're used to Saturday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Jason decided to join us today. Tom is out and about today. Had something about school or something like that matters or whatever. But anyway,
Right.
I want to flip around.
That's what held me up.
I want to show Jason. This is Gordon racing at Talladega, and then this is kind of what the guys are looking at, and they start to get to moving around, spinning around, and Gordon's in there.
Flying through the air.
What is he doing? Yeah,
It's not good.
Now watch it from the side view. This is what ends up happening to him. Into the fence and stays there. This is the best angle. Is when they show it from the backside.
That's a hard leg.
Look at him.
He ate it. Another car
He's
nailed him.
stuck in the fence. Hit while he was there. Jeff just had a little bit of a rough time with that. So I thought that was funny with him getting up in there. And I expect. And I even said this Saturday before, I was like, Gordon's gonna wreck half the field at some point because you got it's one of you got to get used to it. It's not like you just sit down and start racing.
Touchy. You get some contact.
Oh yeah.
Cars get up close to your bumper and it drives a little different.
Truex this morning, or this week, he drove for the first time this week, and I thought he was going to wreck a lot. Then they announced, and Junior was talking about how Truex pretty much grew up with him racing this stuff. So they had their own setup in the in their race shop actually.
That's how he met him.
Yeah. So that was a pretty interesting story. But Truex has been out of town, away from his rig, during this whole thing. He finally got back to his house, and this was the first race he got to race. Was back in town. So North Wilkesboro. So he got into that finally. The winner Sunday was Denny Hamlin. He ran the bump and run on Ross Chastain with about 9 laps to go. Earnhardt was in the middle of all that, and then he was running second, third, fourth all day long. And then there was a wreck after a restart. Well, some guys took 2 tires in front of him, and they wrecked in front of him. He ended up going. Guy bumped him from behind. Earnhardt didn't wreck out. It's just by the time everybody else went by him, he was 16th. So the whole race, he's good. One guy bumps him with 20 laps to go. He ends up in the 15 range. So that's pretty much where Gordon hung out the whole race, was in the 15 range, anywhere from 13 to 19. He would get up there, and then somebody'd wreck. That was the biggest thing. But Wilkesboro, Jason, I don't know if you noticed or know. I mean, it's at an incline, so it's uphill to turns 3 and downhill to turn 1. So it's not a flat type of track at all. And the story on it was, I don't know if you caught this, 100 during the broadcast, but the guy basically that was building the track ran out of money before the first race was supposed to be there. So he had built half the track up on the hill. He wasn't going to have time to finish the other half, so he just left it open up the race. 1949, let's go racing, and is that way ever since. They never fixed it, never did anything to it. So a crooked track ended up making the circuit, and they got in 1996 was the last one. I thought that was a very interesting and fun race. Is about all I have to say about it. Jason. And I brought this up before. Future-wise, I see them going to something. I don't know if it's necessarily NASCAR or some type of entertainment. At some point, some people somewhere, we already have air drone leagues. We're going to have drone racing leagues at some point, don't you think?
Oh, they already do that.
Think about these guys sitting in these racing
they already do
cars, but with real cars on a track somewhere. Like them actually controlling.
I thought you were talking about flying drones.
No, there's flying drone racing right now. I'm talking race car drone racing.
Ooh.
Think about it.
They do remote control car racing.
Right.
That's the same thing.
So
with the full size car, what would the point doing with a full size car?
Well, you wouldn't kill somebody. You go faster speeds. No coronavirus is what they're doing right now. But let's say we reduce the car by 10th, just so you have less wrecks. I get a little bit more room on the track. You can reduce the car size a little bit. Wouldn't do it too much, but I just, maybe Friday night, Saturday night thing. I don't know. There's less things you'd have to do to put in the cars. But I'm just saying, at some point in the future, for some reason whatsoever, we're gonna have guys sitting in their cars like they just did, but driving actual real cars on the track.
That'd be something else.
You actually doing real bumping and running, real bumping with the drones. They race drones in the air. Why would the Nuck step not be actual cars?
Crazy concept. Like I said, they do remote control car racing. I guess it's just a bigger car.
Yeah,
it would come down to the programming. It would come down to the programming because you'd have to get it to where there wasn't a latency delay coming from the transmitter to the receiver, or else it would take too long. Because that's why it's so much easier when they're so much smaller. There's the minute little details, the turning and stuff. It's like a little second. But in a larger car, trying to get it to automate and turn something that large. Because even then, what model airplanes can only get to be so big until they're like, you have to basically have military grade equipment in it to get them to run. Now, obviously, that's what military drones are, unmanned drones. They're only manned by the military, but the ones that you can get by yourself and build on your own, they're not even half the size of that. So we are a ways away from doing any sort of car drone racing that are not even half the size. The biggest they could probably get is like maybe an eighth of the size of a car. There's no way. At least with what we have today, there's no way.
How big are Reaper drones?
Reaper drones?
Yes, the ones we fly across the continents and kill people with.
But what did I just say? That's with military-grade equipment. They're not just putting that in the hands of civilians.
I'm talking about NASCAR guys. These ain't cheap cars. These are real cars.
Nah, there's no way.
These are real engineering.
And then they won't do it.
10 years, Hunter. Write it down. Hey, I bet somebody, Hunter, in Cam's 3rd year, that he would play less games than Tony Romo. 2 years ago, you'd tell me I was crazy. A year ago, you'd say, getting close. Now, it might not be too crazy. He's got less games than Romo, and he's not looking for a job. Just telling y'all, wait a little while. Here's a talk. Jimmy Johnson's still planning to retire. This is one thing I'm not happy about with at all. I think Hunter, what he's got is he's got plans for next year, and I think he's got really dreams and plans on racing this Indy 500 next year, and move. To me, it looks like he wants to jump from whatever most famous race is in almost everything you race in, and that's what he's going to do.
He's got the money. He's got the championships. So at this point, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He is at the point that Michael Jordan was when he said in episode 7 last night of The Last Dance. He said, "I can do whatever I want now."
But the problem,
I can do what I want.
The problem with Jimmy and he's tied. So if you'll notice in the documentary, Jordan, he said, "Well, I've won 2 in a row. I need one more to get more than them."
Well, that's because he said Magic and Bird had never three-peated.
So to me, I want Jimmy to have a legitimate run at this 8th thing. The last 3 years, Chevy has been garbage, and he hadn't had a shot. And then now they're back into it, and then the season gets blown up in their faces within the first month. It's just to me like, man, just one good shot at it where you make the playoffs and make a run. In the last 3 years, he ain't even been in it because of the Chevys. And I wish he could just put it off another year or two, but that's what they're talking about. Is he's eyeing the IndyCar and other sports cars, racing things, and so. But with them doing good this year, I was kind of hoping that maybe it would push him into something else. But with racing, like we talked about with Jesse, maybe he's got some type of big sponsor on his IndyCar deal. Somebody gonna pay him $5 million just to show up and stuff like that.
Well, if anything, IndyCar compared to NASCAR in the United States obviously takes a back seat. IndyCar itself might be fronting him a little bit of money just to get his name in.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily just happen to be the sponsor. The IndyCar might be throwing a little bit of money his way. Because think about it, the biggest name that was in IndyCar, and then she switched, like at least the most noticeable name was Danica Patrick. It's because she was a woman out there obviously running, and she was very successful in IndyCar. And then she switched to NASCAR, and I know that wasn't her forte, but it brought a lot of IndyCar fans over to NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the deal was. Maybe NASCAR had a little bit to do with even keeping, because think about it, like, for a while she really wasn't that good. She should have just maybe have been in the Xfinity Series at most, not running in the Cup Series. But it was a name. So here's what it's probably going to do with IndyCar and Jimmy Johnson. There's no guarantee he's going to go out there because they're obviously two different cars, and there's no guarantee he's going to be the same as he was in NASCAR, 7-time champion. But the name alone is going to draw fans. Kind of like when Travis Pastrana came out of dirt bike racing and decided to race NASCAR. The name alone drew people.
I think that Jimmy will do significantly better than Danica and Travis did going from different sports than he did.
Well, I think he will too.
He's an actual, like,
Well,
he's a good driver.
I know, that's
like,
what I'm
it's
saying.
not like Pastrana was and Danica were like dominating their things. Hey, let's go to NASCAR.
But I'm saying don't expect him to come out there and be good at first.
Oh, right.
He's gonna have to if that is something that he wants to go and compete at and try and at least win an IndyCar championship. He needs to realize he's not gonna do it the first year.
I don't think he'll ever go try for an IndyCar championship. I think he's just going to run specific races and.
Now I wouldn't be
with
surprised if he does. I wouldn't be surprised if he
that.
did this. Race an IndyCar for a year, goes and runs in, Monte Carlo at some point. Just if that's what he wants to do, and just go and race
any type
around.
of series because of his daughters and stuff. I don't think. I think he's at the point
Well,
where that's
Jimmy-
part of it.
I know in NASCAR there's really not an age limit, but after a while, it's time to slow down. And I think Jimmy will just want to do that and ride his bike.
That's the nuts thing. You know about him riding his bike, Jason? He does triathlons and he runs marathons and he'll post his bike trails that he does. Like, so we'll be sitting on Saturday. You got a race tomorrow. I'm working in the yard or something. I'll get a post on Twitter. Here's where we went today, and it's Jimmy on a bike, and he'll go from like Boone to like middle of South Carolina on a bike. Like, he's all he'll post his map, and you're just like, holy crap!
I couldn't do it.
Trucking on it.
Just all over the place on a bicycle, and you're just, and then the next day he gets in the car and 500 miles. we're at 150 miles, 50 to 90 miles per hour. It's just incredible. I always kind of thought some of that may have took away from his. Like, there's a difference between running 5 miles to stay in shape to drive a race car as opposed to 26 miles. Like, the marathoners break down running marathons. Like, you shouldn't be running marathons if you're
He's got other
if you're
interests.
gonna do stuff.
That's what it
other
is.
stuff to do.
This is what it is. This same thing that we've been saying about why Cam probably wasn't as a top performer as he was. He's got other interests. And right now I think Jimmy's just got other interests. Can he still drive at a high level? Yes. But I think it's not a top priority to him right now. He just wants to get through the season and retire.
Here's the schedule with no fans coming up this weekend. May 17th, Darlington NASCAR Cup. On Tuesday, Xfinity Series. Wednesday, NASCAR Cup races again for 300 miles. Then the Cup Series is back Sunday for the Coca-Cola 600. On Monday, the Xfinity Series will race. And then on Tuesday, the trucks. Wow, that's weird that they're doing the trucks and the Xfinities after the Sunday races, but that's what they're doing. They're doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, trucks and Xfinity, and then the Cup Series are on Sundays and Wednesdays. So, Jace, what they're doing is doubling up the schedule on races they've missed. They've cut out no races at Chicago this year, Sonoma, California, and they just took out Richmond. They're doubling up races, so Charlotte's going to get basically 4 races this year. Maybe not the All-Star. They're probably going to get rid of that for this year, but we don't know. That's another thing, Hunter. No All-Star with no Jimmy. This is my last year. We're not going to have an All-Star race. Come on. That thing is one of the better. I love taking my kids to the All-Star race. It's quick. It's fast. The weather's great.
It's always a good race.
There's a difference between 25 cars being on track than 40. It's quieter as well. You get a chance to talk to your kids and stuff between between laps when they get on the other side of the track. You can say, "Hey, what y'all doing?" Blah 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 blah. And when there's 43 cars, it's just
You're gonna see somebody make a move for the win at the end too.
Yep.
Boy, 'cause
$1 million
there's
on the
a bunch
line.
of money on the line, but only for one person.
Yeah.
The restarts in Charlotte get a little crazy down into turn 1. I'd like to see the All-Star run on the Roval. That's what I would want it to run on. Because you kind of know who does good, and the Coca-Cola is going to do good in the All-Star.
I could see NASCAR doing no All-Star race, but just basically because everything that they're doing right now is they're just trying to save the season, and what they're focusing on right now is just trying to get some races in. That's what they're wanting to do, is just get the races in, and and obviously they're showing that too without them having the multiple days leading up to a race where they show up on Fridays, do stuff on Saturdays, and then race on Sundays. Anything that is extra, they're just cutting it out. Let's just get to the track race. At this point, it's just get to the track race. When we're done, pack it up, or just wait for the few days, go back and race on Wednesday.
They just want to squeeze in some kind of a season.
That's what baseball's talking about right now. Just trying to squeeze in some sort of season right now.
Do have a season.
We're going to get in that in just a few moments as I finish up the NASCAR coverage here, folks. We're going to have this NASCAR coverage on KTC Broadcasting, WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM in Cherryville. Hunter, you saw the guys came by Sunday. We weren't here.
Yeah, they did.
PRN going up to Travelers Rest, and they stopped by the office and tagged us on Twitter. I took a picture of the pink Cadillac outside, and I want to thank them for stopping by and say hello. But we do NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup racing here on KTC Broadcasting. So I want to thank them for swinging by and say, and they were going to say hello to us, but of course we were celebrating Mother's Day. Was that Saturday? No, that was Saturday at 1. That was Saturday at 1. Okay. I was thinking that was Sunday. No, it was actually Saturday.
Yeah, they came by after we were all done.
I left. What's bad? I'd left about 12:30. Like if I'd have just stayed a little bit
Tom
longer.
said
I'd
the
have probably
reason
got
he
to
could
it.
not be here was because of an AP Gov exam.
I know exactly why I couldn't be.
And I'm like, Tom, someone else can proctor that. You have got an obligation. You are our Monday guests. Tom, I'm disappointed. Those kids, they can learn AP Gov on their own. Okay, I'm just kidding. Tom, I hope you catch yourself a fair amount of cheaters.
I just can't wait, Hunter, to the next update for my software, because ever since I updated this,
It messes everything up.
like I put the video in there,
Mhm.
and it's not on there.
Yeah.
It's not listed over here. It will pop up if I restart. Like if I put something over it, it just disappears. But it will pop up if I restart it. So anyway, I can still do that. I just can't do all three in the internet. So I'll just have to live with that for a little bit. But all right. So Jason Sain's in the house. I'm Kevin Hastings, of course, Hunter Yancey. A couple other things I got to talk about. Little Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. 2 episodes were last night, covering a few things. They had the Charlotte Hornets, of course, last night in it.
Brief cameo.
We talked about...
That's the most media coverage the Hornets have gotten on ESPN in maybe the last 10 years,
It may have been.
if not longer.
We... Hunter, I just can't stop watching, telling Andre earlier, Jim Cornette videos on the internet about wrestling. I mean, it is a train wreck, as if train wrecks could be. Jace, do you remember that name, Jim Cornette? He was a manager with a tennis racket. Used to hit everybody with a tennis racket.
Sounds familiar.
Well, anyway, he's one of the old guys, and he gets into. He's basically got Tourette's. Like he can't stop cussing, and so this is the guy that they've decided to give a podcast. So it's fuck this, fuck that. It's just F everything. And he can't say a sentence.
Forecasting, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sentence without him cussing somebody. So it's just hilarious hearing him talk, about these old internet. Not only are the stories just interesting as crap, just him telling them. Then him on top of it, just cussing up a storm about it. It's just, he's just a Southern guy just cussing up like crazy. It's hilarious hearing the stories and him going off about some of these guys, some of these things. I just can't get enough of it. And so that's been a lot of what I've been watching during the quarantine is old wrestling videos and Cornette talking about them. It's just, it doesn't. I mean, it's hilarious, Jay. I can't. I can't describe it without you just having to see it and listen to it. Just like, oh my God. Me and Andre just listened to one a minute ago. They were talking about Hunter ring rats.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is? You know what a cleat chaser is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay.
So, all right, that's all you had to say. I know exactly what you're talking about.
This is what they called the ladies back in the day were ring rats. And Cornette just was talking about they're one of the questions. Well, basically, fans write in questions and then he answers them, so he has no idea what they're about to say. So this one was he went off about ring rats a little while ago about who had the best and the most. And there was one guy I didn't know who he was. I can't remember who he was. But the two you'll remember is Ricky Morton. He said he couldn't get down the aisle with some lady trying to stick his hands down his tights. And he said Ric Flair, Flair wouldn't have the most, but by God, he'd have the best quality you've ever seen. So that's the type of fun stuff he gets into. Talk about Andre the Giant one time. He said he was carrying 5 women at one time up to his hotel room. Andre the Giant carried 5 women. But anyway, all right. That was just some of the stuff that I've been watching too and get into. Tiger Field, Peyton Tom's going to play a little round of charity golf coming up. Hunter, we're all going to talk Major League Baseball because I got Jason here, so we got a lot of questions for him while we got him on the show. We'll go over to The Last Dance right now, just to start from there, and then back into that. So last night, have you watched any of it, Jason? You been into it? So they've been doing the documentary on basically a Jordan documentary, 10-part series. Last night was episode 7 and 8, leaning into getting into the final stages of it. So the way they do it, Jace, is it's called The Last Dance because it's about the last year. So, but what they do is they take each and every guy's, not every guy's story, but most of the guys' stories on that team and do a whole episode about them. So there's a Phil Jackson episode, a Dennis Rodman episode, Olympics/Tony Kukoc episode, Pippen episodes, so things like that. So last night they did the '96 finals and the comeback in the baseball in Space Jam. So that was last night was about him going to baseball, him doing Space Jam, and him coming back, beating the Hornets. And winning that first championship, going the 72-10 season, was what everything was about last night. But baseball wise, so basically what happened is he joins halfway through a season, he signs up halfway through the season to play, plays the next year in '94 the whole season, and then the Major League Baseball strike came about the next, and then that's when he came back. Or the end of that season, '94, the strike came about the next season. So not only it wasn't just him playing bad that led him back to basketball. There was a damn strike, and he wasn't going to cross the picket lines. They were wanting him. Major League Baseball was wanting him to come up and play with the replacement players. So they started him in Double-A instead of rookie and A-ball. And Reinsdorf said only because the media, they didn't have room for him at all the stadiums at the smaller parks for the media at this. So he hit over 200, Jason, in Double-A starting off, and hadn't played baseball since he was 17 years old. So what do you think about that? Getting into 2A out of the bat, and getting into just hitting 200, 50 some RBIs. I know I finally read an article last night about Hunter about that about the RBI argument. Mm-hmm. About whether it's a good stat or bad stat. So, but Jason, I don't know how you are on this, but I can read the top 30 all-time RBI people, and it's pretty much the 30 best baseball players that's ever played. And so the arguments are nowadays is that getting on base is more important than knocking a run in, although we keep score by runs. So
not on bases. The final score is not like 9 on bases to 7 on bases. Yeah. It's 2 runs to nothing.
So yeah, there's an argument about that. There's people that hate RBI and people that don't like or do like it. And this. So anyway, just to get on that. Crap. I need to pull up my all-time RBIs here. Where was we going on that? Sorry, I had to back up in into that.
Jordan and his 50 RBIs.
Yeah. They're talking about how he's a pretty decent hitter. He's just so long. You know how hard it is for long guys to hit, especially inside out and everything. He started his Double-A career off with a 13-game hitting streak. His coach was future Red Sox coach Terry Francona. And Francona said he probably could have been a major league player. And
They said 1,500 more at bats.
yeah, had some practice in the minors, he could have made it. But Jason, 13-game hit streak, and then you know what they started doing? Nothing but deuces. So they showed him hitting off the curveball machine in practice, trying to catch up with what the pitchers were doing to him. Still hit over 250 some RBIs, like I said, in one.
4 home runs.
in his first season. And a lot of people have a 13-game hit streak period.
I want you to think about that. So he went from being the greatest player at his sport and then going to play baseball. And I think his numbers were still better than somebody like Tim Tebow, who wasn't even great the greatest in his sport. It was just a name. And then Tim Tebow tries to go play baseball and doesn't even have better numbers than Michael Jordan did. And that was in his first. Let me see. Did he come in at the beginning of baseball season, or did he come in halfway through the season was already going on?
I don't know the exact dates on it. The whole thing was weird.
Well, I want people to understand is if you haven't seen a baseball thrown at you from when you're age 17 to now you're 31, and then you're out here playing even in Double-A ball. Double-A ball. Those boys can still at least throw in that high 80s, almost 90s on a fastball, or else they wouldn't even be considered playing in the majors.
Well, most of your best players are in Double-A because the Triple-A guys are a lot of times your career minor leaguers, and the Double-A guys are your hot prospects. Those are you guys that they're too good to be in regular A and whatever, and they're hot, they're good. That's where we're putting them. 1994 was his only season, so the whole season there. Had 497 plate appearances, 3 home runs for the Birmingham Barons, 51 RBIs. How about this, though? 30 stolen bases. That's damn good.
You remember what Roy Williams said? Said when we clocked him, it was sub 4.4.
On base percentage was 289. Slugging percentage 266. So
he might have been able to make it if you gave him some time.
He only grounded in 4 double plays.
I'll say this, Francona sees something in you. I mean, why not? He was able to move up to coaching the Red Sox and taking them to a World Series. I mean, he has to know talent when he sees it. I'm not going to sit here and say Michael Jordan would have been the best baseball player, comparatively to him playing basketball, but not many people are just Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders that do both.
He made 11 errors.
And he's doing this, let's not forget.
Is that bad in outfield?
Let's not forget, well, probably. Let's not forget the biggest player in today's game is Aaron Judge, and he's, 6'9"?
He's a big dude.
Not many people are over 6'5", really, in baseball, and he was standing at 6'6", maybe 6'7" in cleats. I mean, it's not bad.
He's 6'6", yeah.
That's not bad. I'm not going to.
First year, I'm not 13-game hit streak, 54 RBIs. Jason,
I think that's what speaks to it more is that 31 years old, not seeing a pitch since 17, and you go straight to Double-A ball. You don't even play in rookie ball. You don't even get to warm up. You just go in there against top prospects.
The average major leaguer is 6'2", 200 pounds. Jordan was 6'6", 205 is what his baseball listing was.
It was impressive.
I'm trying to find the 6'6".
It's impressive.
How many inches is 6'6", Jace? 78? 80? No, at 90? 6'6", is that 90 inches or 78?
Yeah, right first time. 78.
It's 78. 12 times 6, 72. Then 6 more, 78. All right, 78. So 78 inches. I'm looking at it. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 25, 30. About 33 players are 6'5" or taller. 100. I would bet, it doesn't break it down by position, but I would bet 90% of those are pitchers.
Pitchers or outfielders.
It has to be mostly pitchers even on that. I mean, like I said, heaviest is CC Sabathia at 300. Tallest is Aaron Slegers at 6'10". Altuve is 5'6".
What does Slager play? He's a pitcher, isn't he?
Slegers is a pitcher.
Yeah, I was supposed to say. If you're just talking field player, it would be Judge.
Yeah, right.
Judge, the outfield, is 6'9".
It's got Judge listed at 78.5 inches. It's got him at 6'6.5", or 6'7", 79 inches.
Doesn't matter. It's a big ass boy. Have you seen him did you ever seen the picture with him and Altuve standing next to each other? Altuve,
No, they showed a chart of
Judge
the other
on-
guy and Altuve standing there.
Judge on base and Altuve as the position player. It's the funniest thing in the world. Altuve comes up to like his belly button.
Well, I'm all right, Jace. Here's your all-time RBI leaders. Tell me when I get to a bad player, because RBIs aren't any good. Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, A-Rod, Albert Pujols, Barry Bonds, Lou Gehrig, Stan Musial, Ty Cobb, Jimmy Foxx, Eddie Murray, Mel Ott, Willie Mays, Carl Yastrzemski, Ted Williams, King Griffey Jr., Rafael Palmeiro, Dave Winfield, Manny Ramirez, Al Simmons. No, that was 1828. Al Simmons. I don't know if you remember him or not. That's not that. That's how many number hits he had. Sorry. Frank Robertson, David Ortiz, Honus Wagner, Adrian Beltre, Frank Thomas, Reggie Jackson, Jim Thome, Cal Ripken Jr., Miguel Cabrera, and Gary Sheffield. How many of those guys suck? None of them.
Pretty good.
I think we went through it one day. I think 27 out of those 30 are Hall of Famers. But they tell me that the RBIs is
Don't matter.
it doesn't matter.
It's a bad
stupid
stat.
They say it's because the guy's got to get on in front of you. But Jason, you attest to this probably. The stat nerds, people that's never played baseball, people that only use stats, they don't get this part. In baseball, with people on base, you bat differently than you do if nobody's on base, depending on the outs, depending on the situation. Mm-hmm. As a hitter who couldn't hit a home run, okay? Let's say I'm not going to hit one out.
Put it in the gap.
I've got a guy on third with less than 2 outs. If I hit a fly ball and get out in right field, I don't care. I got the run in. If I hit a ground ball up the middle and get out, I don't care. I got the run in. But according to the geek stats heads, I should have got walked and hoped the guy behind me either got walked and gets a hit, and then hope the next guy gets a walk or gets hit. Like, that's what they say. Is it's better just to get on base than to knock the run in. Now, if I'll trade one run for one out, Jason, you're a mathematician. How many runs would I score every game?
27.
Is that a good run differential? Is that a good stat, Hunter? If we average 27 runs a game?
Yeah.
So when I say I'll trade a run for an out, and people look at me like, that's stupid, you want the walk, I'm like, all right, I'll score 27. Let's see how many you can get walking every one of your batters. And then the on-base percentage, of course, my favorite one is that you can have 4 guys reach base an inning with an on-base percentage over 1,000 or 100, however you want to say that, and then get one hit in the whole game and have an on-base percentage of 0.36 and win the game 1-0. So you can either have everybody get on base and walk or nothing. So, I mean, old school-wise, I mean, what would you do if a kid come up? Would you want your kid to come up and say, will you teach me how to get more WAR, Coach?
Get more
WAR.
Oh,
I mean, like, how do you coach that? What do you say?
hit better.
Jason's a mathematician and baseball coach. I don't know.
Depends on the position.
Yeah.
And the metric being used to measure.
Which has been made up and pulled out of so many asses that we don't even know which.
you
Are you
can't
using War A or War B or
look
War
for a
C or what is it? War 7? I don't even know. They put acronyms next to war because
can't
it's
do what,
different.
Jason?
It's
You
different
can't
ones.
look for a walk. Be a good hitter looking for a walk.
Okay, 100%. I mean, he's in the same ballpark I am right there. Like,
No, you can't because you're basically going up. You're not looking to hit. If you're going to looking for a walk,
well, let's say
you're not looking for a hit.
At Bestman, I batted in 2 different spots. In the 2-hole, I had Chris Mason behind me, Justin Frady, and the guy who hit 7 home runs the year before in the 5-hole. If I batted in the 6-hole, I had 3 guys who could never got on base. So my at-bats would be different depending on also who's in front of me and behind me. Also, if I get on base with the guys who can't score if I got on base in front of Mason and them, I'm like, they might knock me in here. If I get on base in front of 7, 8, 9, I got to steal second and hope something happens. Is my mentality on that, or hope the coach bunts me over and I get to steal second or third, and something happens. But the whole would you rather have a guy who gets on base as opposed to the guy who knocks the people in debate thing as a coach? I mean, I'll never get over like saying, well, me and Jason got on base a lot. Like, damn, Ralph Robertson and Jeremiah knocked us in, and Josh, which ones you rather have, Jason and Kevin?
It's always better to get a hit.
I mean, right.
It's more about not making the out
Right.
than getting walked, or you get too much on getting it walked. Look, you ain't really looking for a walk. You're just doing anything you can to get on base.
Right. I totally agree on that one. I've had that mindset before. You get there, and, fourth at bat of the game, you 1 for 3. I'm like, if I get out, I'm down to 250.
You say you want to walk, I want to double. That way, anybody that was on scores, he's still on base. Not only on base, on second base.
Yeah. I mean, I want to double
He
every
can score.
time. I mean, but it's just unrealistic in baseball. Like, you can think you're going to hit it to the right field, Jason, but like, the odds of when you do hit it and hit it to that side of the field, still somebody can catch it, still somebody can throw you out. Like, there's so many things that can happen, and we're sitting there arguing, hey, don't hit into a double play. Well, the run scored. Like, well, what am I supposed to do? We got beat 2-1 in the playoffs, and there was a guy on third against Bandy's. Guy on third and first and third, I was batting. I beat out the double, hit a chopper up the middle, beat out the play at first. I look over to third, the Dodo's still standing on third. Now, the metrics will say, and then I had to steal second so I could try to score after he didn't go, and he never scored. The metrics will say he's a better player because he walked and made it to third base than me, who hit it up the middle, who should have scored the run, got on second, then stole the damn base. But this joker's standing on third with his WAR and his base on balls. So that stuff, I want Jason. You can call me as much. I want the guy that can put the bat on the ball. I want him every time about it. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't want Pujols up there as opposed to Ozzie Smith.
I'll take the guy with the highest WAR.
The what?
I'll still take the guy with the highest WAR.
How do you configure that though?
I don't know. Wins above replacement.
You can say it. You don't know.
Yeah, like I said, position.
Do what?
Depends on the position, what type of things are important. But you can't really calculate it. They break it down into parts of a run. It don't even make any sense.
Okay. Well, let's say you want the guy with the better WAR. Let's say Trout has 8 WAR this year. My guy has 7. So you won one more game than me based on your talent in a 162 game season. What's the percentages on that? I mean, so you've helped the team win half a percentage of a game this year when you break it down to that. Like, so congratulations. So that stat to me is just it's not an actual stat. What about win-loss when you're in the lineup? Is that not better stat than say WAR would be? Like, I'm actually in the lineup and these are my actual wins. That stuff's just so weird how they do it now. But what they're looking to do, Jason, is split up the league into 3 divisions. West, Central, and East. Hunter, the Braves have bitched enough to stay in the East, is what I've been read and told.
Well, thank God.
Originally, they were going to switch Atlanta and Pittsburgh, but from what I've read, that the Braves have pushed into that situation. So, and they're talking about a universal DH as well,
And expanding the playoffs. I think they said 14 teams.
to
12 or 14. Like football.
So, Jason, first of all, what do you think about you like DH or no DH for Major League Baseball?
DH.
And what was the other one? Oh, extra play. You want more playoff teams or more regular season games?
More playoff teams.
All right, I'm with you on the playoff teams. The regular season, you mentioned earlier, they could only play, they play 162 games. 100 wants to play 80. I'd be happy with 100.
No, and I heard today coming in, it was like one of those, it was like a little sports news blip coming out of like say NBC or something like that, and it was like they're looking at maybe a 70 or 80 game season this year. And you know what I'm saying? Thank God. Thank God. Don't try and fit 100 or 120. Just keep it out of the triple digits, all right? Keep it in the 80s. Even if you want to hit 90, I'm fine with that. But 120 games? No. Especially not 162. You can miss me with that shit. I can promise you that. Go ahead and just play the 80 games.
A lot of them are long, boring games too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Baseball would be so much better. And I know baseball coaches out there, we had Gene Boyles on here. He was fun to have on here. And, Coach Russ. They loved the game. But I'm going to tell you what. Damn it, just from a perspective, I played the game till middle school. When I've watched it, you got to speed it up. I can't sit there. I just don't have 3 or 4 hours of willpower to sit there and watch a game that is. I think that's what I've always hated about baseball. It's not on time crunch. It's not on a time crunch. You could have in an inning.
Huh?
It's rough.
It's rough. You could have it.
Turn Jason up a little bit.
You could literally have in an inning.
what about-
You could bat through the lineup twice, and until you get that third out, we're still in the 4th inning.
Hunter.
We're still in the 4th inning.
Hunter. I go to a soccer match for 3 hours and only see one person do something.
It's not 3 hours. It's not 3 hours. It's 90 minutes.
They play way more than 90 minutes.
No, it's 90 minutes.
Because the only thing that goes 90 minutes, then we're going to play overtime and not tell you when overtime's over.
Overtime's only it's extra time, and it's based off of the stoppage time of the game, so it's maybe an extra 2 minutes. They only play 90 minutes.
So you'll watch that, but the baseball.
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half.
That bothers you, but
Yes,
that don't.
you know why? Because it's timed.
Mm-hmm.
It's timed, and even in NASCAR, you have a set amount. Like you can kind of gauge how long it's going to take outside of cautions and stuff. How long it's going to take for these cars to go around the track,
Mm-hmm.
and it don't take very long, really. As fast as they're going, but for baseball, seriously. And how many times are we going to have 3 or 4 different pitchers come into a bottom half of an inning and then go to a commercial break because he has to throw an extra 10 balls that he didn't already throw in the
Those
bullpen?
pitching changes.
And pitching
Are a
changes,
killer.
they make me so mad. I will keep up with baseball, but I will not watch many baseball games. Out of a 162 game season, I promise you I watch 4, and that's not even close to 1%. I just keep up with it.
You know what I think would fix the pitching changes more than anything? And this is the complete opposite of what they're doing, is less roster spots. You put 20 roster spots out there, you got 5 less guys that can go out there and pitch to one
you're
damn
talking about
batter.
instead of having like a 12-man and
Right.
bullpen, maybe only having
If you have
6
20,
or 8.
20 roster spots,
Mhm.
you get 4 starters, 6 subs, backup pitchers, and that's it. You got 10 batters.
And see, I loved
Go.
the implementation too of the pitch clock. Hits that catcher's glove and it's got to get back in the pitcher's hand, and he doesn't have any time to mess around. And I think they need to implement that as well into the batter's box. I don't need to see I don't need to see Mike Trout step out the box and play with his gloves for 10 to 15 seconds just after every pitch. After every pitch. It wasn't right. That's why I didn't swing at that pitch.
no,
Oh, my-
Nomar Garcia Perez started that stuff. It was.
I can't
it is-
stand it. I can't
yeah.
stand it. I think that's what I've hated is just from a fan's perspective, when you go to a game, it's a fun atmosphere because it is kind of laid back like that. You can sit there and it's more of a I know the word I'm trying to use, but it's not laid back. It's just more of a social environment. That's what it is. It's more of a social environment. You can sit there, you can walk and get a hot dog, get a beer, just chill with your buddies. And it's not supposed to be up-paced like basketball and football is, where you don't really take your eyes off the field because you might miss something. But at the same time, I think that hurts baseball. I think it really does. That's me personally. I played the sport till I was in the 8th grade, and I still kept up just watching it. But when I hit maybe like my later high school years, I could care less about 162 baseball games. But I've told my buddies this. I've said I will take postseason baseball over first few games regular season basketball because that's better and it's a higher form of baseball. You're getting the best teams out there to play, kind of like how Kevin always says. I don't need to see game 162 between 2 last place teams. I don't need to see it. Especially if it runs 3.5 hours. I'm definitely not seeing it then.
I mean, the Royals and Orioles last year played about 300 meaningless games combined between the two teams.
That's what I'm saying.
Couple of little notes and ideas maybe to speed the game up or change things to baseball.
But do you think that the 70 or 80 games season that they're talking about this year would be it works?
I'm way more into less regular season games. It's just not. It's just stupid playing that many.
If it works, I know they won't do it, but Major League Baseball really needs to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "Wow, our ratings were kind of up this year."
Well, okay. So the Cardinals in the 14, 15 years that Molina's been there, they've only had 1 losing season.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't start watching until the All-Star break because one, they always make a move to change the roster after it.
Mhm.
But two, up until then, like I think those games are almost meaningless to a point. And like the first 30 and the last 30, you could they're either the most meaningless or the least meaningless, depending on which way you look at it. But you can't even like if you look at the wait till the All-Star game and look at the standings, and then you'll know whether to watch your team or not. The last 80 games, like
Right.
it's still got 50, 60 more games. Like if I miss something, if I watch 50 games, I'm still catching up. I believe I got what's going on, but
Yeah.
I mean honestly, I don't really pay attention to baseball until the All-Star break. A lot of people do basketball kind of the same way. And,
that's me.
And I don't pay attention.
That's
to
like my
baseball
buddy
at all.
asked me. Said this past year when baseball season, or it was the playoffs, obviously when the Nationals and Astros were making a run, and he was like, "Yo, are you watching LeBron play tonight?" I'm like, "What is this? The second game of the NBA? Hell no, I'm not watching it tonight. There's playoff baseball for me to watch." I'll answer Chris Nelson real quick. Soccer would be more interesting if the field was smaller and the offsides rule was eliminated. I don't agree with you on the offsides rule, but yes, if the field was smaller than 120 yards and 60 yards wide, 100%. It would just be faster paced. I think that could go for football as well. But soccer,
I've always
hockey
said,
has the offside rule too.
I've always said soccer to make the field smaller.
I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine. You cut 20 yards off of it. Just make it a 100-yard field. I'll be fine with it.
I would probably watch indoor soccer way before I would watch
Indoor soccer is lit.
way before I would watch regular.
When I went to,
It's just the spacing.
when I went to-
it's the wasting time, the flopping, the wasting time.
Well, I
you know,
don't-
you could get away with a 2-1. I think the scores would be more, and there'd be more scoring if it was a smaller.
Oh, it would be more
smaller
scoring.
field.
And there would be way more scoring if there was no offsides rule. And the reason why I don't like that is because then you're going to have these offensive players that just want to sit there right in front of the goal and just
Will they stick
take cherry
people like
pick goals.
Shaq out there.
They're
Will
just
they just
cherry
pick
pick
7-footers
goals.
out there for that if there's no offsides?
No, because there's still an agility and a quickness that has to be played
Hunter.
that Shaq would not have.
Giannis.
No.
Put Giannis right in front of the goal.
No, because even Usain Bolt has tried, and he was. Let me tell you, like
I didn't say he had to run. He just has to be tall and head balls. You can't teach Giannis to head a ball.
it's a lot
That's
harder
all
than-
he's got to do.
It's a lot harder than you
But
think.
that's all he's got to do.
I know it's all he's got to do, but it's a lot harder
He's
than you
from
think.
Greece. You don't think he's played soccer
He's
before?
probably played Greece. He's probably played soccer. Kobe's first love was soccer because he was born in Italy. I'm just saying. I know I'm not trying to get off on it, but
That's fine.
But I'm just saying, like, if you take the offsides rule away, then really the cherry picking is just what's going to piss everybody off, and it's not going to be any fun to watch because it's like, all right, we're going to take this one guy, and as soon as kickoff happens, we're going to sit him right here in the middle of the 18, and he's just not going to move for the rest of the game. It's like, what's your point? It's like literally just taking the center fielder and saying, you just stand here. You just stand here. You might have to move a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, but other than that, you're just going to stand here. It's just, that would be so boring. That's why hockey still has it. You know, hockey has an offsides penalty. You can't get you cannot be on the other side of the defensive to either receive the ball or receive the puck. Because, I mean, what's the defender supposed to do if you're already sitting there behind him? I mean, it's just,
Yeah, but I guess if you look at the way I would compare that would be in basketball. So, like in basketball, if I want to sit my guy down there, I'm down 5-4 on the other end, though. Maybe that don't affect as much in soccer
No, it
with as
doesn't.
many players you got, but hockey, I could understand taking offsides on hockey because you got to have a guy. If you're up and if you're down a player, I mean, it don't help you on the other end having
Well, it
your
doesn't-
having your offensive
well,
guy
most-
standing there picking his nose.
most soccer formations, you only have two forwards.
Right, you
anyway.
got so much
you've only got
spacing
two.
in
Yeah, there's so
soccer and
much
people-
space. So with the two guys that are on offense, it doesn't matter because the midfielders and usually everybody else, the other 9 players on the field are the ones that are supposed to be playing defense. Really, at that point, those guys that are the two, because it's kind of lopsided depending on the formation you're running in soccer. Because most of the time, there are 4 defenders in the goalie. And so, and then not to mention the four midfielders that are coming back if you run a specific 4-4-2. So then at that point, you have 9 defenders on the field compared to the only 7 offensive players that would be pushing the ball because you still have to take away the 4 defenders that aren't attacking as well.
Would you rather
So-
baseball just play 7 innings
Oh my God, yeah. I think 7 innings would be fine.
in Major League?
We still got 1-0 games anyways.
So your major concern is the time.
I hate the time. I hate the time. I hate the time and I hate the downtime. which people would be like, but you can watch soccer. And I'm like, yeah, but they're moving constantly in soccer, and I'm watching where the ball goes constantly in soccer. This is why I've always wanted to go back and coach. That is interesting to me because it's constantly moving. Not
Jason, ideas
I'm going
on-
to stand here on the bag and then fiddle with my gloves the whole time. And
Jason, ideas on speeding up baseball? You've been pretty involved in it.
Just speed it up. Time limit rules best. Keep the pitchers and the batters from
think
fiddling
about
around
it.
playing pitches.
High school plays time limit. It's 2.5 hours.
So you want Major League Baseball to install a time limit, and then whatever inning we're in.
Timer between
Well,
action.
think about it.
pitch.
Think about it.
Oh, you talking?
Pitch.
They
Pitches
are
and batters.
professional baseball players. If they cannot get a game done within that certain amount of time, then that's their own problem.
They just
All
need
right,
to
we're
have
talking about at a high school level where there are more errors and not everybody is as solid.
Hunter's idea is, as far as this DH thing goes.
It's a great idea.
Are you ready, Jason? Only bat 8 batters.
Only field
bad
players.
idea.
What do you think? We've
No
yet to
pi-
find
no
a,
pitcher.
We've yet to find a bad reason for it. And on all levels, you can just bat 8. And if the guy you're going to DH for anyway, just don't bat anyway. Instead of having a DH, so then
Most
you,
of the
then
time
you
they
cannot
put-
bat your pitcher.
Yeah, most of the time they put what DH in there for the pitcher.
Second baseman, high school and Legion a lot of times. It ain't the pitcher a lot of times unless he's just a pitcher.
Well, I'm talking about the
but you're not DHing for Ralph Roberts and guys like
Well,
that.
in the
And
at the major league
Madison
level.
Bumgarner wouldn't get DH'd in
Well,
in
probably
Legion.
not. No, but I'm speaking at the major level,
Right,
at the
right,
MLB
right.
level. Most of the time they put the DH in for the pitcher.
Right? Yeah. What do you
Why
think,
not-
Jace?
why
8
not-
batters.
Why not just bat your 8 field players
You-
and outside the pitcher?
You get your best hitters batting more, get more action, more runs, maybe.
You'd have to be allowed to let your pitcher hit, though.
Yeah. You can choose whoever
Yeah,
you want.
if you want. If your second baseman can't hit worth a shit and you want to bat your pitcher there, why not? But you
have
can only
all-time
bat 8.
fielder.
You only bat 8. I don't see a
So
problem.
instead of a
with it.
designated hitter, you got a designated fielder.
Basically.
But yeah. For a lot of
And
teams,
usually the
For a
pitcher.
lot of teams, that would be the pitcher. It'd
Every
be the
team.
pitcher. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know though. San Francisco. Well, he's in Arizona now.
Name
Arizona might
one-
let Mad Bum hit the ball.
Or above what position player? Because you can't do it to a position player. If he's gonna
Well, I mean,
play the
it just
position
depends
every
on if
day.
the position player can hit or not. If you got what your
The only
catcher,
time
say
that
your
would
catcher's
ever
not even
happen
the
would
best
be
hitter.
a righty-lefty scenario. Other than that would never happen. You wouldn't let. I mean, he's a good hitter for a pitcher. For the best hitting pitcher, but you wouldn't let.
Because
him
think
hit
about
over
it,
any position
sometimes
Not
they
one.
sometimes they do a pinch runner anyways for a catcher because he can't move. So if the catcher isn't really the best at making contact with the ball anyways, then just bat your pitcher instead. He might be faster.
You talk about DH for your catcher. Is that what you're just talking about?
I was just talking about, if you got a bat
I was
8,
like,
if you got
he's
a bat
not a good,
8,
if he's not a good hitter and you don't want to waste your, or a good runner, and you don't want to waste your time waiting on him to change his equipment, you can
yeah. I mean,
make it possible to
if
crack
you
it to
if
the
you get to
majors as a
decide
defensive specialist.
which players hit
Maybe.
in the 8, I mean, and you say your pitcher is good enough this game to hit, and your catcher sucks, we'll let Mad Bum hit some. We'll let him hit today.
Anything against the eight batters?
The only people that are going to hate it are stat heads because they're going to be like, oh, we've done it this way for 100 years. I don't
mess
see.
with the game.
Don't mess with the game. Don't mess with
Now
the,
don't mess. We got to
the
make it faster, but
purists.
don't mess with it.
the purists.
A couple of other ideas. One of my ideas is to speed the game up / get more runs maybe going. 3 balls instead of 4. Make the pitchers throw more strikes. It only takes 3 to walk a guy. We won't be waiting on an extra pitch to walk.
You'd see some offense.
You see some more hit. You got to get
That's
around
what
that
Major League
more.
Baseball wants right now. Is
Hey,
offense.
Jason, you
Grooving
can't,
it.
you
And
can't just
you-
waste.
yeah,
You can't just waste pitches a lot.
That's happening in high school, man. I'm telling you, when the pitch count, they'll throw 3
That's what I'm
straight strikes
saying.
if they think they can get away with it, and they'll try to even when they can't get away
has the
with
pitch count not changed
it.
how you pitch? Because you have to throw
They'll
a
pump
strike.
it straight down the middle. They'll throw as many strikes as they can,
And
so they face as many batters as they can. The bottom of the order is getting 3 straight.
Fastballs.
Yep,
It's
3
coming down the
straight
middle.
strikes. You're either going to hit it or make it out. And they finally. It's what you should have been doing all along, though. Is what finally figured it out because of a rule change instead of common sense. That you just throw strikes to the bottom of the order. They can't hit. That's why they're the bottom of the order. They're going to make outs.
Well,
That's
I've
how, as
always-
a pitcher, you can't be throwing your hardest, best stuff, picking and nibbling, sweating
That's a
every
set
batter,
hole.
bearing down, going to get this
I've always
9
said
hitter.
this though. I've always said
Will anybody ever touch Mason's strikeouts
There's
numbers?
times to bear down, but it ain't every time you face 7, 8, 9.
I've always said this, baseball wise, or at least pitching wise.
A lot of
I
pitchers
would
contact.
love to just tell my pitchers, look, do not be afraid to throw strikes.
Exactly.
Don't be. Why the hell do you have the 7 players behind you?
Oh, they got that good stuff. Gonna strike them all out.
Yeah. Oh,
Catch
if
the
I get
corner,
the
gonna
K's,
throw the big bender
let me,
here.
Let me paint the outside of the plate. Okay, or you think you're good enough for that, or are you getting ready to throw it into the backstop?
Gonna give him a curveball because the
At
3
least-
fastballs
yeah,
missed.
At least if you're young like that. At least if you're one of the younger pitchers, just be like, hey, pitch it down the middle because you got 7 players behind you.
can't
Okay,
tell
and they're
nothing.
they're pretty damn bored, and they might be able to help you.
Can't tell.
So you like 3 balls?
Yeah, sounds good.
3 balls and 8 outs. We're changing baseball right now, Jason. We've done sped the game up a half an hour.
Only
Make it easier to get them walks. You
So-
hate, though.
hey,
You
implement-
ward through the roof.
implement soft pitch
Oh, the pitchers
softball
be
rules.
throwing it over the plate.
Soft pitch
They ain't
softball
gonna
rules.
walk.
Only 4 foul balls and they're out.
And pitchers ain't gonna walk
That might
much.
would be exciting.
What?
To be honest with you, some of the major league hitters just sitting in there knowing you got to throw strikes.
What you talking about? With just 3 balls?
Yeah. With only the pitcher only.
Heck, everybody's throwing 100 now anyway. I'm about make it fair for the batters now. Used to not be fair, but yeah. I mean, how about this one? Hit batter, all hits batters, 2 bases.
Too much.
What I want to cut down is in Major League Baseball throwing at guys.
Yeah.
How often you gonna throw at a guy who gets 2 bases instead of 1? It's definitely gonna be a 9-0 game instead of a 5-0 game.
Yeah, it will be worth it a lot of times.
So all hit batsmen, 2 bases.
What if you're losing team?
Huh?
What if you're the team that's down? Then you can hit anybody you want.
Well, you just keep giving up 2 bases.
You're gonna have one pissed off manager.
Well,
He's gonna take the ball out of your hands so fast.
2 bases on those are my 2 of my favorites. I've thought about, you know, they've changed the ball is what they did, which they shouldn't have messed with the ball. That was the biggest thing. And,
Juiced 'em.
Well, they made the seam smaller. They spin faster.
Juiced them.
So,
They gave him that O.J. Simpson. They
what
juiced him.
What if we backed the mound up 6 inches or a foot to give the batters an extra quarter of a second swing or whatever? Not enough where the pitching, it don't change the pitching that much because the ball's still traveling that far. Like you don't want to move it back 4 feet, but if you move it back 6 inches, it's 60 feet 6 inches now. Just move it to 61 feet or 61 and a half, another foot. The ball is still in the same plane than when you left it.
It's going to get hard to find a balance, though. You know, all these things talking about that make the game more exciting, also going to make it longer. And you're already fighting time. But all this 3
no,
balls,
to make it longer.
2 bases, and making them throw strikes. What would be more offense?
Well,
More offense equals longer games.
I'm looking at more offense on that. Also, the you guys talk about the pitching changes. Like I
I
said,
don't know
you
if
got-
necessarily it would just equate to more offense automatically, but it would make more balls be in play to where the defense has to make a
It
play.
would have to make more offense out of it. I mean, if 3 balls.
So I mean, what are we talking about though? Just maybe like an extra run?
It has to.
I don't think it would be like an extra 2 or 3 runs.
probably not. Isn't it?
I think it would just
Extra run a
maybe
game,
just an
maybe.
extra run a game, but you would
a lot
you would keep defensive players on their toes more because the ball would be in play more often, just because it's coming down the middle of the pipe.
You know, I really hate it as a defender. When you're catching, you know what's coming, so it don't really affect you that much. When you're out there at shortstop and your pitcher's nitpicking and picking around, and I'm waiting on every damn pitch. There might be a moon rocket hit at me. I'm on the edge of my toes, and he's over there throwing curveballs in dirt. You're just like, good God Almighty, throw a strike! I'm telling you, I don't know how many times, dude. Me and Dustin Day in that adult league. He's out here cussing our pitchers to throw it over the damn plate. Like, you heard center field, don't fucking strike. Like,
I believe it. Man.
I mean,
believe it.
as a fielder, you just sit out there, especially in the outfield. I feel bad for them. Well, you just sitting out there just watching pitch after pitch after pitch, and then when they hit it, run as fast as I can. Pitch, boop. And then how many balls come to that outfielder a game? Not many. And so those guys, yeah,
Well, now
the
they do.
the nitpicking and stuff around. All right, so Major League owners okay a proposal for a July start. They're looking at a July starting in July 1st. They're going to cancel the World Baseball Championship in 2021. It looks like.
Did you see ESPN picked up the Korean Baseball League and they aired at like 2 a.m.? Who the hell cares?
Bunch of people are. It's so stupid.
Korean baseball.
Can you imagine being one of the ESPN commentators and they call you at 12 o'clock in the dead of sleep, say, hey, we got a real
We
good one
need
tonight,
you.
buddy. We're going to need you here in about an hour and a half. Are you ready to rock or what?
I got that call from Kevin earlier we talked about.
Yeah, you get up, you get your ass up. Tom's not coming in.
I was going to be a few minutes late because, well, they decided to run class a little bit long today, and I was fuming because of it.
Well, so the Major League Baseball draft has cut back to just five rounds this year, and everyone else is getting signed, whatever. But I did see an interesting thing. It made me think about our friend Gene Bulls over at Cleveland Community College, is that they were talking about the JUCO teams are about to be loaded with these guys that didn't get drafted and then want to keep playing baseball. So the JUCO season next year may be one of the best in the area that we've ever had in America, basically. But Cleveland Community College over here, Jason, the new baseball team, that's what you need. You need to get over and get with them. Have you seen their mascot? You seen it?
No, what's their mascot?
Dude, I'm just going to tell you, you need to be involved.
You need to be involved.
Just for the mascot.
Look, Gene knows
mascot's
us, all right? He knows the kind of ideas we're bringing. Gene, if you're listening, my phone is still open. You can reach out to me at any time. I'll bring the idea machine right down to you. We'll have it a powerhouse.
Just give me 1 second. You'll see. We had some ideas for their season, and
The Yetis.
the Cleveland Community College Yetis. How awesome is that logo? Look at that joker.
Yeah, it's just like Chewy.
Yeah.
If they could get, just modulated a little bit, they can use it at their games without having to pay George Lucas to use it.
Yeah. Just do a little audio on it.
Yeah, just do a little bit of modulating on
So
it.
Cleveland Community College new mascot just came out this year. The baseball team is going to start next year, and the Cleveland Community College Yeti. So we had all kinds of ideas on things they should do with the Yeti, and they had him arrested a couple of times around campus on here the other day. My thing, Jace, was the Houston Astros scandal with the banging the trash cans on curveballs and stuff. I think what they should do during every home game is while the other team's pitchers warm up between innings, is have the Yeti out there banging on a trash can.
Good publicity. It'd be a good PR stunt. It'd be a good PR stunt.
just have him out there. Just think about that, Jason. As soon as the pitcher starts warming up, the catcher throws it back, and then all of a sudden you hear bam, 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 and out in the outfield is the damn Yeti banging on a trash can.
The Yeti.
You wouldn't laugh at
The
that.
Yetis.
Y'all tell me y'all wouldn't laugh at that.
I'm telling you. And I gave Gene great ideas for uniforms. They should have an ice cold uniform, one that's like white, looks like it's Arctic because it's a Yeti. Oh, Gene, again, phone's wide open, man. We right here waiting on the call, buddy. If we can go, hey, and if you don't mind, we'll put KTC Broadcasting right on the sleeve. Oh, it'd be golden.
But Jason, he was just talking about how they're gonna the JUCO route here is a lot of folks will take that route, trying to get to the majors as opposed to the four-year universities. There's the May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day to our cousin Chewbacca was their tweet of the day. But Jace, the Yetis. How you think? What do you think about the?
So wait, let me ask this though, because are they just now getting like a sports program in general?
Yeah.
In Cleveland community. So it's not.
They had a
just
softball team last year.
Okay.
And then they've got another one.
Were they
got
the
two
Yetis
or
too?
three. I don't think they were officially yet. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't
I was
think
about to say
I don't think the Yetis has been unleashed
the Lady
officially
Yetis.
yet.
You don't think it's been okay? Because that's what I was wondering. Is it just mostly going to be baseball? Are they going to try and do like maybe try and have a basketball program, maybe a volleyball program? Because some JUCOs, they do have they have the opportunity to have more than just one or two sports teams. Not a lot of them do because it is smaller schools. Obviously, baseball and volleyball are some of the larger ones that they're able to just have. Some of them have basketball teams. So I don't know. I didn't know if they had already had that and they're just now getting a baseball team, kind of like a UNC Charlotte thing where they had obviously had sports teams, but then they just a few years ago got a football team. So I was wondering about that.
They're getting it up and going. They're in the conference with CVCC, Jason. You know them. So that's who they're with. Tom's watching obviously with all of his comments.
He really must not be teaching anything.
I thought he had to
right
teach
now.
AP.
I thought you were giving an AP exam.
He said, I'm giving AP history exam today. I can't be there, and all he's done is comment on our show so far.
Tom, way to disrespect the entire nation of South Korea. No, I did not disrespect the whole nation of South Korea. I did not. I was just saying, to me, it's like, at 2 in the morning, who the hell is watching? I'm here in the States. Like, who's up?
Shit.
Maybe re-air it during the day when people are up and watching it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe then air it. Not, Joe Blow's probably up at 2 a.m. today. We got to give him some South Korean baseball right now.
I would say they don't have to show it live, but I guess for the gamblers they do, because that's really the only reason that them gamblers.
I lost about $100 on it. Damn it! No, I'm kidding.
The gamblers have serious issues,
and Tom just cannot embrace it. I don't understand.
He said 14-inch plate, Jason. Only 2 strikes.
And that's coming from a official.
2 strikes.
I like 3 balls better than 3. 3 strikes is
2 strikes make the game faster.
3 strikes is a universal thing that the world knows. So, Hunter, you got 3 strikes and you're out. 3 strikes, you're fired. Everybody uses that for something.
That's your second strike, boy. You're out of here. I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. That's not what I've been taught all my life. Trying to rewire people's brains. 2 strikes, you're out of here. What?
Tom must be there to field questions for the dodos.
Oh, God. Tom, don't forget to like and share. Thank you.
like and share, Tommy. All right, so Nelson had a couple of comments earlier. We got to him. He said, don't want to see the pitchers hit unless it's Madison Bumgarner. I got a good stat for Jason. Mike Trout strikes out 23% of the time. Adam Wainwright only strikes out 28% of the time. So the greatest hitter we've ever seen, the greatest eyes, only strikes out 5% less than the pitcher does for the Cardinals. It's not that big of a difference.
Hardly statistically significant. Except in baseball.
I know, right? All right. So anything else on my baseball news and notes about they're going to be starting up soon? We got 3. He did make a comment that Jordan reminded him of Pedro Serrano not being able to hit the curveball. You know who that is? You done it. Hunter,
had no marbles.
you ever seen the movie Major League, Hunter?
Yeah.
Don't give him another opportunity to disrespect another Asian nation.
I know, right? You want to mess that one up too?
I didn't do it. All right. Tom is insinuating.
Pedro Serrano was on Major League. He was the one that was doing voodoo. Couldn't hit the curveball.
It's been so long since I've just sat and watched Major League.
He couldn't hit the curveball. He had to get Joe Boo to take the curse off of it, off his bat.
Live chicken.
And then the old Christian relief pitcher said drank his tequila. And he got mad.
Well, let's do this.
He said Joe Boo's going to hold on. He said Joe Boo's going to cuss him. And one of the greatest lines of movie history came out of it, where he told Serrano that he needed Jesus Christ in his life, and Serrano said, "Jesus could not help me hit the curveball." And one of the funniest lines ever is that guy going, "Are you telling me Jesus Christ couldn't hit a curveball?" That's one of my favorite ones ever. Like, I don't know how many baseball fields I've been on in my life, and somebody said that. You telling me Jesus Christ couldn't hit a curveball?
Let's do this then, since they are planning on at least trying to get back July 1st. Is it in stone they're going to keep just the 3 leagues, the 3 divisions, West, Central, and East? Like, is it in stone, or are they just going to shit us when it gets about a month and a half out?
Nothing. I'm going to put it this way. Nothing is in stone.
Nothing is in stone.
I'm going to put it that way.
Because what I wanted to
in.
do is, since the Braves, rightfully so, bitched and moaned their way into the East, which is what they should have done the whole time. There's no sense in Atlanta being in the Central. What I wanted to do was basically try and think how they're going to do this 14-team setup and what teams probably just based on, because, these are brand new lines that were being drawn right now. That means the Yankees and the Braves are in the same division right now. It's not AL, NL. It's just who's in your division. I wanted to think who had the best shot of coming out of those.
The question is, Hunter, you're right, is how are they going to split up the playoffs into the divisions? Are you going to rank them 1 through 14, 1 through 12?
Because if they do that, they'd have to implement like a power ranking system where it's just the top 14 teams get in.
So, Jason, they're only going 3 divisions, not 6 for this year. So, I guess they're going to go if you do 1 through 14, you got to give 2 teams a bye. If you do 1 through 12, you got to give 4 teams a bye.
I think.
So I don't think they'll do 4 teams a bye. I think they'll do 14.
See, and that's what sucks with them only doing 3 divisions, because if you did do the 12 and you did 4 divisions, then you could just give the 4 division winners the byes, which that'd be simple. But if you only do the 2 teams with the byes, you would just have to go the 2 teams with the best record. And if they just happen to be in the same division, then so be it. Because that's.
It's going to be the 2 best records.
Yeah, that's regard. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. That's how football does it, really. In AFC and NFC, the 1 and 2 seeds in each division. It just really depends on who's got the best record out of the AFC and NFC.
I don't. Jason, you think it's fair to the National League teams
to have to go DH?
To have to go DH right now, a month before the season? They didn't have to. They didn't pay anybody. They didn't sign anybody to play DH for the regular season.
Probably not.
Like the Red Sox. Some of these guys are running out DHs that are all stars, and then the Cardinals and Braves and everybody else is going to be giving your 9th best hitter is going to be your DH instead of maybe your 3rd or 4th.
Unless
best
they
hitter.
give them an opportunity to sign at least 1 or 2 DHs. Maybe let them
who's
dip
the
it.
free agent right now? Who are they signing?
I don't know. I wouldn't say DA. Maybe it has to be a free agent, but maybe this forces
There's
teams.
going to be some minor league guys
I was
that
about
get
to
some
say,
swings
it's
on
going
that.
to force teams to look into their minor league system, say, well, look, he's not the best fielder, but damn, he can crush a ball. He bats maybe almost close to 300, but can he field a ball? No, he can't even pick up a blade of grass with his hands. So what we're going to do is just pull him up just to swing a bat. I mean, I could see that happening. The question really, though, to me is I just want to see the exact draw up of how the divisions are going to be. So I could literally sit there and look through and tell you, okay, this is probably the strongest division. And if I had to think, the strongest division might be the Central. If we just go geographical and we kind of think about who would be in the Central, St. Louis is going to be in the Central.
St.
Cleveland
Louis is involved.
Cleveland will be in the Central. Minnesota and the Twins will be in the Central.
All the Central teams.
Milwaukee and the Brewers would be in the Central.
Cubs, Reds.
The Cubs. See, and that's partially why I'm happy that Atlanta bitched and moaned out of the Central, because we have at least a little bit of a chance now in the East. The only real tough ones we have to worry about in the East would be the Nationals, just because they're the reigning World Series champions. You got to knock them off. The Yankees, Boston lost their best player, so I don't even think Boston would be in the mix. Other than that's about it. Me just thinking off the top of my head.
All right, they plan to meet with the Players Union tomorrow to discuss the proposal and start the negotiations for the season.
Tampa Bay, I tell you that. Tampa Bay's decent, but they can't pull a crowd to save their life. So
they envision on expanding the DH to the National League.
You know what? That reminds me. Tampa Bay's the one set up to have the most success with no fans. They're used to that shit. Ain't nobody show up to their
Miami
games.
too.
And Miami. Nobody shows up to their games.
Postseason play will be expanded to 1,400.
Okay.
They were going to the proposal was somewhere around 80 to 85 games, depending on
That's
how
reasonable.
they do their schedule.
That's reasonable.
Teams are trying their best to play in their home ballparks. However, if their home states, cities don't open, they will play in their spring training homes. One team that probably, it says that may have to play all their homes anyway down there in Florida is Toronto. So they do not know if Toronto will be approved back on the field in Canada.
Oh, well, you know, I think
but they
who
would
else is going to
play
happen?
in Dunedin, Florida, and no All-Star game.
I'll tell you what, that probably will happen as well with New York. I guarantee neither one of the New York teams play in state. That's the mecca of this right now in the United States.
Ooh, now that might start a problem. You know?
Well, the media,
that's going to be the problem.
They're going to be
Ooh.
upset about that. But
Ooh.
I'm telling you, the New York teams, there's no way in hell they let them play in the state of New York. They're going to force them to play. What, do the Yankees play in Arizona or Florida? Well, it doesn't matter regardless. Because think about it. That's an if they play in Arizona, you're asking East Coast teams, a part of this Eastern Division,
They play in Florida.
to play in. All right, well then, if it's Florida, that's fine. That's fine. But if they had to fly out to Arizona, basically for like a West Coast game in the Eastern Division, that's dumb. So I'm guessing as well they're only doing inter-league games, like you only play the teams in your division. So there won't be any St. Louis Atlanta games because they'll be only.
No, they're going to play everybody.
They're playing everybody.
Everybody.
Okay.
That's why that's the part of the schedule that they got to leak down with the Players Association, is how many teams. I mean, let's quick. Do you see anybody got a pen?
Oh God.
I just had one. I think I went down the hall and
We
took it out
always
while I was
lose
yelling.
pens.
Oh, the one sitting right next to me.
There you go.
All right, let's just do this simple. All right, so there's 3 divisions of 10 teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you play everybody in your division, that means there's 9 guys in your division, actually. Okay? If you do a two-game series with everybody in your division,
16.
that's 4 times 9 is 36.
Okay.
If you play a two-game with everybody in the other 2 divisions,
Oh, I only did 1-2 game. I didn't do back home and aways.
40-40.
Mm-hmm.
That's 116 games if you play everybody twice at home and away.
And they're wanting to cut down on that. So what I could see them doing is just doing 1 home, 1 away with out-of-division teams, and then maybe 2 homes and 2 aways with people in division. So like Atlanta and St. Louis only play 1-1, and then say the Yankees and the Braves, because they're in the East, they'll play 2-2.
All right, so if you want to do 2-game series, you'd play your divisions 36 games out of 82. If you want to do 6-game series, 3-3 for the travel, it'd be 54 games out of the 80. So that would only leave you 30 games to play the other 20 teams. So basically what they'll be looking at would either 2 3-game series in your division, and then everybody else twice, 1 home, not a home and away.
Just 1 home.
You either go like
there
in football,
or back.
you either go there, or you don't play home and away. You have to play away at a place or home. Or you could put, if everybody played, like I said, 2-2, that's still 116 games. So you're
Dude,
gonna
some
have
teams
to,
might not play each other.
So I'm saying you might have to. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. It's not for us to figure out, and they really don't care what we say. We said we want
Well, guess what?
batters.
Damn it, they should.
Damn it, they should listen to
Damn it, they should.
Hunter and Jason, huh?
Well,
Okay.
Well, all of us, you know. I think that's one thing that baseball hurts them, is they're not really open to change. They don't really listen to fan feedback, whereas the NBA and the NFL, they love fan feedback. They always try and appeal to the fan, whereas baseball, it is the traditionalist thing. Which, yeah, some people really love the traditional part of it. And it's, you know, the old saying, it's America's pastime. Big whoop. Maybe listen a little bit more to the fan base, because baseball, I hate to tell you this, your demographic is getting older and older by the minute. And eventually there won't be any more of a demographic, because I'm not trying to be morbid with it, but they won't be around anymore. Baseball's got the highest demographic out of the 3 major ball sports in football and basketball. The second highest is football. The youngest is basketball. So baseball, you might need to be listening to try and integrate some of the younger players or some of the younger demographics. I'm just saying.
Maybe the younger kids should just quit whining about being bored and get off the Facebook machine. How about that? How about that one, Hunter?
No.
How about y'all why don't y'all catch up to us? That's the problem.
Nah, can't do that.
That might be the issue.
Sorry. What you got to remember
Might be the kids, not
Sorry.
the adults.
Sorry, I hate to put it to you this way. We'll be running the country one day, so might need to play into
I don't know,
us a little
Hunter.
bit.
Because the math on it. Let's say how old are you right now?
I'm 24.
24. Both of our presidential candidates are in their 70s. So, by that math, Hunter, your generation will come to power in 50 years. I just want to let you know how realistic that
man,
is.
Listen, man. Not if we have one John F. Kennedy stand up.
One.
Who are y'all electing in the next 50 years?
Not if we have a John F. Kennedy that stands up.
He died, Hunter.
Didn't
Like
work
I know
out
he
for him.
did. No,
I know he did.
didn't work out.
I'll
for
be
him.
him. How old do you have to? What's the youngest you can be? 35?
This will be my first year that I get to write in myself for president, so I can't be more excited. I've been waiting. Let's see. I started voting when I was 18. I'm 37. I've been waiting 19 years to write myself in for president.
There you go.
I haven't seen you show up at the polls yet.
I haven't, but I'm gonna do it though. I've been waiting 19 years to write my name in for president.
Is KTC going to be back in your campaign trail?
I don't know. However much gas it costs me to get to my one vote is my campaign trail. So I'm gonna spend $1.
You should.
I'm gonna spend $1.50 on my campaign.
You should set up. You should set up just a little KTC sign, a little banner up at the local courthouse, and just stand out there and just be like, vote for Kevin Hastings.
Really,
for
Jason,
president.
if I went out there just at a polling center somewhere and had a sign up that said Hastings for
Hastings
president,
for president.
you think I would get like just 1 or 2 write-in votes? Somebody,
Maybe. Yeah. I believe it 100%. Today,
It'd be more likely to happen. North Carolina's a swing state right now. We've turned it into a swing state. If it was a more solid blue or red state, you could just write yourself in. What's the point of not?
If
If you're in a left state, there's no point you voting anything
How
else.
realistic was it a few years ago? I think it was during the Trump election, the first time, and I don't remember what state it was, but it was like 1% voted for these nuts.
I do remember. Somebody wrote that in on the presidential ballot. These nuts.
I'm glad we take politics damn seriously around here, man.
1%.
All right, I got some fun notes and tweets here today before we finish up with
That's funny, man.
what we was going to finish up with today.
That's funny.
Tony Gwynn, it was a big weekend. They was talking about him, or anniversary of his death, or I think it was his birthday. It was his birthday. He hit safely in 1,800 of his 2,400 games. He got a base hit in 75% of his games played, Chase. Let's see. Intentional walks to lead off an inning in Major League history.
It's gotta be Bonds.
Bonds 5. Every other hitter combined 3.
I was gonna say, I knew as soon as you said like the beginning inning, I'm like, it's Bonds. It's gonna be Bonds.
Oh, it gets even
It's the
more.
most dangerous batter to ever step foot to the plate. It's Barry Bonds.
He got walked. One of those times was in '96 in the 9th inning with the Giants down by 1.
Mm-hmm.
They intentionally walked Barry Bonds up 1 to lead off the inning in the 9th. Is how good of a hitter he was. I'm going to repeat that for you folks. I'm going to look at my camera. To lead off the 9th inning up 1 run, they intentionally walked Barry Bonds to pitch to the guys behind him. Don't tell me about how important the walk is when you can intentionally walk the leadoff hitter so the suck asses behind him can swing
struck
away.
out.
All right, here's the other 3. Ryan Howard in 06. And Frank Howard did it twice in the same game.
People forget how good Ryan Howard really was for the
Frank
Phillies.
Robinson, not Frank Howard. They accidentally wrote Howard twice. Frank Robinson did it twice in 1970.
Ryan Howard was a damn good ball, but people forget he was the MVP.
I'm glad you brought that up. He was in the RBI discussion telling him how Ryan Howard was garbage because RBIs don't mean anything.
Who said Ryan Howard was garbage?
I'm just telling you, that's the thing I read last night. Ryan Howard was one of the examples of how the RBI is a garbage stat because of Ryan Howard.
Well, they can get the hell out.
I'm just telling
you right now. How can you say that about a World Series champion and an MVP? Like, Ryan Howard was one of the best first basemen and just best hitters regardless for that whole season.
Pete Rose has 1,000 more hits than Tony Gwynn. Okay? Pete Rose could return to baseball tomorrow, go 750 straight hits, and still have a worse batting average than Tony Gwynn. All right, you follow me?
Yeah.
Pete Rose has 1,100 more hits than Tony Gwynn, but he could go 750 straight more hits and still have a worse batting average than Tony Gwynn. Crazy, 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 crazy. Tony Gwynn never batted 400 in a season, but he had a 403 batting average over a 173 game span from July of 93 to May of 95. In that stretch, he struck out 26 times. No, sorry. He only struck out 26 times in that stretch in 179 games with 281 hits.
Dude, I don't understand how they could say that shit about Ryan Howard.
Oh, you lost him now.
I don't understand.
Tony Gwynn could come back alive today, crawl into the batter's box, Jason, and go 0 for 1,182 at bats and still bat over 300 in his career. So the Padres could roll out a dead Tony Gwynn for 1,100 straight at bats, and he'd still have a 300 batting average. So fun stats on Tony Gwynn this weekend. Let's see. More possible changes. Hunter, you was asked about Major League Baseball. Here's some of the proposals: limited travel, no cross-country flights, more divisional play, expanded rosters, taxi squads, whatever that means, expanded playoffs, more experiments, runners on second base and extra innings. Was that international rule or something? What's the name of that? In there, some weird name for that. Didn't Legion experiment with that one year? Putting have you heard of that one?
Listen, do you know what that sounds like?
In extra innings, what they do, Jace, is they start the extra innings off with a runner at second. So whoever made the last out starts at second base.
You know what that sounds like to me? Everything you just said, more playoff games, more interdivisional play. Sounds like the NFL.
Yeah.
Sounds like Major League Baseball's taking a bite out of what the NFL does. Have more, or I mean, you could technically do the NBA too.
High-fiving and spitting will be discouraged or forbidden.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck stopping them from spitting on a baseball field. You could take the broadcast and flip around to every player in the infield and at least get him spitting in like a 15-second span. I mean, they just sit. That's what you do in baseball. If you're bored, you just spit. Spit in the glove, spit on the ground, wiggle it around in the dirt.
These are the active players with more walks than strikeouts in their career. Minimum of 10 plate appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow along with what I just said?
So say it again.
Active baseball players with more walks than Ks in their entire career. There's 4 of them. Do you think you can name any of them?
More strikes than
Active baseball players with more walks
than
Ks in their entire career.
Mike Trout.
Minimum. Fuck no, that's not even close. That's the worst one. I said, Hunter, did you not hear what I said?
I don't really get
more
what you're
walks
saying.
than strikeouts in their career. He strikes out so many times.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, but everybody talks about how much he damn walks.
He don't walk that much.
Okay, so they've got more walks than strikeouts.
Right.
So G-O-O-D-E-Y-E, they got a good eye. That's what you're saying to me.
I'm going to give you 3 of the 4.
Go ahead.
Lamont Wade Jr.
Who?
69 plate appearances.
Who?
Zach Granite. 107 plate appearances. Ever heard of either one of them?
Hell no.
Luis Reyes. 360 plate appearances.
Where's he play?
I've never heard of any of them. Have you ever heard of any of them?
No.
Do you know who Luis Reyes,
I have no
Zach
idea
Granite,
who
or
the hell
Lamont
he is.
Wade Jr. is?
No. I don't know who it is.
The 4th one, Albert Pujols.
That's the only one I know.
His plate appearances, 12,000 plate appearances. Still
More walks
has
than hits.
more walks
than strikeouts.
than
Sorry.
strikeouts in his entire career. The most amazing shit I will ever consider and say is how that man does not strike out at all. All right, those are my notes on my fun Twitters for the weekend.
You want to talk about war, Ryan Howard haters? You all can piss off.
Oh.
Mike Trout's got an 8 his career is a 72.8 war. I don't understand that shit. And then you have Ryan Howard at 14.7. One out of those 2 have got a damn World Series under their belt. Thank you very much.
I did not.
And one of them has got 1,194 RBIs in a 14-season career. Meanwhile, there are only 752 RBIs to Mike Trout. Mike Trout, the most RBIs he's had in his career is 111. Do you know how many Ryan Howard had in his MVP season? 149. Shut the hell up.
5 times he had more RBIs. He had a 58 homer season, a 47, a 48.
Cut this shit and put some respect on Ryan Howard's name. All right, I'm not even a Phillies fan, but I knew he was an animal.
I did not expect Hunter losing his WAR. I've given every stat in the history of the world on Albert Pujols and WAR. compared to these guys. And I did not think the Ryan Howard one was going to be the
Do
one
you think
that
Ryan
tipped you
Howard?
off.
Do you think Ryan Howard could possibly one day be voted in as a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Then damn, put some respect on his name. Shit, people.
He won an MVP. He was Rookie of the Year.
Yep, and a World Series.
NLCS MVP, World Series, 3-time All-Star, Silver Slugger. Hunter, he's got 382 home runs, 1,100 RBIs, and Trout has 7 times more WAR. Now, Jace, the WAR thing, as far it's called. You were saying how it's wins over replacement, whatever that means. The thing I was Yadier Molina has never had one losing season in his career, and they win 78 games. The ERA when he's in the lineup is 1 run lower. It's 4-something without him. It's 3-something with him in the lineup. It's a whole run earlier, and yet Trout's got way more WAR. Molina's won 2 World Series. Like I said, only 1 losing season. Trout's never won 1 single playoff game in his career. So I guess they're saying the difference between Trout is that he wins more meaningless games from. He's really good from wins 65 to 75, something like that.
So let me tell you something.
I didn't think Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard did that.
tipped
Ryan
you off.
Howard did that in a 14-year career, and Mike Trout is already at year 9.
Right.
I don't see a World Series under his belt. And somehow he's got 3 MVPs. He's got 3 MVPs, and his numbers in those MVP seasons are nowhere even close to when Ryan Howard won his MVP. So either one, the competition in Ryan Howard's day was just shit, and he just was so much better than everybody else that Mike Trout's competing against some of the top-notch players in the world now. Like,
I can laugh at that stuff all day.
that honestly, that made me mad. It really did. It really
I didn't
did.
think
Because
that
I'm
was the
sitting here,
one.
I'm telling everybody, I'm not a Phillies fan. Obviously, they're in
Right.
the same division as
Right.
Atlanta.
Right.
But I knew what kind of powerhouse Ryan Howard was whenever they would play Atlanta. That's a damn joke. Get me off there. That's a damn joke. Before I say something I'm not supposed to say.
Get me off the air. That's a joke.
Let's close it out. I'm fuming now.
I do want to make sure that I got all my stuff right, cleared up for today before we end the show. Going, Jason, did you have anything specific? That, you've been watching, missed, or any sports or anything you missed in baseball. Obviously, we here at KTC we broadcast high school and Legion, so we're missing basically. That's our big thing is what we're missing is doing the broadcast. So what's your biggest thing right now during all this as far as sports goes? Is things that you wish was going on or something?
It's unfortunate there's no Legion season. That would have been nice.
The Legion season.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they decided way too early?
Yeah, of course.
Is that not like just weird how they?
They played through the one of the real bad pandemic back in the day. All the pictures of the ball players playing with their masks on, their Spanish flu,
Spanish flu,
1918. We gonna cancel the Legion season over the coronavirus this month and a half. They played through one of the deadliest pandemics. Sweep through the country.
Yeah, it was just me, and I think Coach Reynolds and the guys as far as the regional and state, like the regional only needs the state to have its tournament, right, to have their players. So they need 1 week of preparation. The World Series, they only need 2 or 3 weeks to get their guys in, and so it was to me like, why is the decision before even June starts? Like we've not played a single American Legion regular season game, and we're already canceling the regional and World Series tournaments. I just thought that was just not the right way to go on that. Kind of glad you kind of see the same way. I was trying to find, Hunter, one of these things you can click on to show you the team's wins and loss records of the player as he batted. I was trying to look up the Ryan Howard, but you're talking Phillies. I mean, the easier thing would probably be just look up the Phillies win-loss from 2006 history. But Jason coached Legion B, and like he said, it's just kind of weird about how early, just way too early of a decision. We think the best thing we thought was just try to get it in, try to play, see what happens, and go from there. Real quick, I'm pulling up that for Hunter. All right,
Don't get me going again.
Anything else on the notes, Hunter, that we missed or anything? We talked Wilkesboro and NASCAR coming up this weekend. Folks, get on our Facebook and YouTube and check out our segments and shows. You can go back and rewatch all of our shows. Had an outstanding show the other day with Jesse Little, Xfinity racing driver. I had some fun stories with him. We're going to get in the NFL schedule and stuff more as we get closer to that. NBA, talking about coming out with no fans, maybe not at all. I'm not sure about that. Anything else we missed on the Jordan stuff? Hunter?
No, last night really just got into obviously his first retirement. And when they were switching back and forth, they showed his first retirement, obviously, when he was out for 18 months playing baseball. But they were flipping back and forth because it's leading up to his eventually final retirement from the Bulls whenever the 98 season was finished. So I know I heard my dad say, I'm not a really big fan of them flipping back and forth like this. I'm like, I think that's what's making it so good because you're getting backstories to everything. Obviously, last night's first episode, and the second one was a little bit as well, but the first episode was a little bit more emotional. They talked about the passing of Michael's father, how that affected him, and was probably one of the other driving reasons that he left basketball, which I thought was interesting. I think just getting to see kind of the emotional side of Michael for a moment, I think it kind of really tied together everything that they were trying to do last night. And I'm going to be honest, I'm just sad this coming Sunday is the final Sunday. I know it's going to be, for people that haven't watched it, they get the opportunity to, I think it's going to go straight to Netflix after this or something, because Netflix was a part of the people that helped put this together. It's going to go there, and they're going to be able to probably binge watch it and get to see, obviously, in one sitting, if they really wanted to, everything that we've got to experience over these last 4 going on 5 weeks now. But I think they did a very good job with it last night, storytelling-wise, how they delved really into, because they really did hit on it hard, the psyche of Michael, what made him tick.
Well, and Jason probably can attest growing up watching it. You just want you want your best player with the ball. You want your best player making a decision and
talked about punching
shooting
Steve Kerr.
score and you want him to be the man. So the thing with the Jordan LeBron thing is, to me, is that kind of an analytics argument with the WAR versus the RBI folks is that, yes, LeBron passing to the corner is the best basketball play maybe, but you want Jordan taking the shot. Like Jason, for example, Phil Jackson told Jordan they was going to run the triangle. Other people be shooting. And Jordan's question was, so you're telling me that Bill Cartwright might be shooting with 5 seconds under the shot clock? Phil Jackson said yes. And Jordan's response was, fuck that bullshit. I mean, it wasn't okay.
Oh,
I'll pass my teammate.
It's on ESPN, but it's raw.
He said,
there's no bleeps or nothing. It's raw.
He said, fuck that bullshit. I'm shooting it. Like, there was no I'm passing it in the corner. So I like to joke with the LeBron fans. So they talked about Space Jam, so I got to get this one in there. Jason, do you remember? Did you see Space Jam?
Yeah, I can't recall.
So at the end so basically the premise of Space Jam is the aliens come and steal the talents of the basketball players to play Bugs Bunny in a game of basketball. If Bugs loses and the aliens win, the humans are slaves. Okay, so basically we're playing for the slavery of human slavery. To win the basketball game, we send Michael Jordan, undefeated in the Olympics, undefeated in regular season, undefeated, just the man, undefeated. At the last play of the game, he dunks to win the title, to win the game. In Space Jam 2, will LeBron drive to the middle and then kick out to Porky Pig with the game on the line? Is that what we're doing? We're sending Captain 3 and 6 in the finals who lost in the Olympics.
We'll probably call timeout. We don't have one.
Call timeout. He'll go Chris Webber on him.
This is what I think.
So that's my difference in it. Jordan
But
dunks
see,
on
they'll
non-stars.
say that all about, LeBron makes the right play because they can always lean on the fact that Ray Allen hit the shot from the corner to beat the Spurs. And that helped the Miami Heat beat the Spurs.
Jason,
what if Ray Allen misses that shot?
Right.
Then it doesn't fall on
Right.
LeBron because that was going to be up to Ray
Right,
Allen
you
to
can't
hit the
blame
shot.
him.
It's like, well, why didn't LeBron just lower his shoulder and try
Jason.
and get the bucket at the cup?
Jason will answer this question easily. All right, Jason, we're up at Appalachian playing intramural basketball. Andy Sain, Jason's brother, drives to the lane, gets double teamed. Jason, do we have a better chance of your brother shooting it double teamed or him kicking it to you in the corner for the three?
He should probably shoot it. So if it's on me to hit one from the corner,
That's the point.
No.
That's the point.
Nope.
That Jordan. So LeBron fans say they should kick it to the open guy because you're on the team and you're supposed to hit your shot. The Jordan fans would say, Andy, shoot that damn ball because
don't
you're the
pass
best
it.
player. Oh,
Last time I checked, Michael Jordan's got 6 and Kobe Bryant have 5 playing that kind of mentality. So
Phil Jackson won 11 with them dudes saying,
Yeah.
I'm shooting it. And that's my whole point on the LeBron Jordan thing. That's what they're arguing, is they want Andy to kick it to you. You know if Jason's a better baseball player than Andy. Andy's a better basketball player than Jason. It's like the complete opposite. Like if I want an RBI, I want Jason to swing, not Andy. But if I want a jumper, I'm going to want Andy. Like Andy's automatic. I can't express how automatic he is if he's open. Much less if somebody's on him. And then LeBron fans will say, but Jason was open in the corner.
I think last night, I think 7 and 8. What made 7
That's
and
just
8?
so funny when you think about it that way.
I
isn't
think
it?
what made 7 and 8 so great to watch was Michael was just raw when he looked at the guys basically in the camera and said, look, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. My mentality, I'm trying to quote it as good as I can. My mentality was to win at any cost. He said at any cost. And what he meant by that, going back and listening to what people were saying, he said whether or not my teammates liked me, whether or not they respected me or anything. He said it didn't matter to me because I was going to do what I could do on the floor so we would win. He said I'd do anything to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what the most powerful scene was at the end of episode 7 when Michael got choked up talking about it because he basically said, look, you can either play that way or don't play that way. But he got really choked up about it, getting emotional, talking about how hard he played and how much he sacrificed to make sure that it wasn't just him that won, that everybody won. And whether or not he was liked by the team or not, didn't matter to him. And he said one of the best lines of the night was this. He said, look, you guys might think I'm a tyrant. That's because you didn't fucking win anything. That's what he basically said. He said, I won something. He said, but y'all ain't won shit. So
Get the kids in here. Folks, before we get out of here, I want to say, when the kids are here, I try to squeeze them in. They're here today. You guys want to say hey?
Hey.
Did y'all just wake up for a nap?
Yep. I did. She was awake.
Yeah, they'll snitch on each other in a heartbeat, too. She was awake, but I wasn't. Right? That's what happened? Okay, I love you, too. We're gonna go home in a minute, right? Also, what's your favorite sport?
Baseball.
You want to be what kind of shirt you got on right now?
Jimmy Johnson.
You want to be a race car driver?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. It's Austin and Isabel. Y'all wave to the camera. This is our camera right here, the Cardinal one. Wave at it. There you go. Jason, thanks for coming in today. You helped out quite a bit, whether you know it or not. Always good to have a third person in the house to help us out. How about Ryan Howard? Hunter, here's the stat or team stats.
Oh, God, don't get me heated.
Here's the team stats. Starting in 06,
Yep.
missed the playoffs in his rookie year, won 85 games. The next year, first place.
Listen to that, 85 games and missed the playoffs.
The next year, first place, lost in the NLDS. The next year, first place, won the World Series in his third year. Fourth year, first place, lost the World Series. Fifth year, first place. 6th year, first place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first placed in his first 6 years and 1 second place.
And a World Series. And Mike Trout can't even win a playoff game. He's been in the league 9 years.
Yeah, I didn't think that Ryan Howard was going to be the one that hit him off, but it is, and it's just it's silly how that stat can be so far off that wins. The word is wins over replacement. And that guy's got what's 70-something divided by 14, Jason? Five something. So about 5 times more wins than Ryan Howard does, but he's got 8 World Series, and he has no playoff wins.
And somehow Mike Trout has got 2 MVPs, and the team can't even win a playoff game.
Right. All right, folks. We're going to wrap it up today. I want to thank everybody once again. Isabel and Austin wave to the folks at home. We'll be back Wednesday. Cousin Zach will be in the house. We'll probably talk some Jim Cornette. And some more. I like to bring him up when Zach's in the house. It's just funny, a train wreck. Jason, I've got one for you. I'm going to play the show out as we go out today. I did this Saturday for the folks. Want to get it on our podcast. Heck, it might not even be working again. We'll see in just a second. But this is James Earl Jones, and I don't think
became our national anthem.
Here
to recite those words, accompanied by the Morgan State University Choir, directed by Dr. Nathan Carter, one of America's finest actors. A Baltimore welcome for Mr. James Earl Jones.
The folks want to say goodbye to you and leave it at this. We'll have to show you in with James Earl Jones doing the national anthem in the 1993 All-Star Game. Home, nobody picking me, nobody did anything like that.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, can that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Shock Joxx, Kevin Hastings, Jason Sain, Hunter Yancey today, and Austin and Isabel. We'll see you guys Wednesday with Zach on Shock Joxx. Thank you for watching KTCBroadcasting.com.